Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. Back with another episode, another live stream of the workshop podcast. Today is March 6th. Did I get my date right? I did this time, 2022. And this is episode 79 of the workshop podcast. And tonight, our guest in just a minute, I am so excited, is Dave Jones, the NBC guy. He has a brain to pick like you wouldn't believe. So if you got questions, bring them up for you. We're going to have a conversation. He's going to share his story. Anyway, we'll get into that. But real quick, I'll get the housekeeping out of the way. First off, we have episode 100 coming up, less than 2 months away, probably 6-7 weeks now, if my math is correct, which it absolutely could be incorrect. But yeah, so I'm looking for suggestions for what to do for episode 100. If you guys want to submit something, I don't know, we could do like a massive tool review, or if you could, I don't know, talk about an entrepreneurship venture you've done, whatever. Anyway, if you have suggestions for what you guys would like to do that involves the community for episode 100, I'd love to hear them. Number two, you guys are going to get tired of hearing about the Telegram group, but that is the place to be. If you want to keep up on all things workshop and just interact with the community, share what you know, learn from each other, then grab that link from the description below and come on over and join us on Telegram. And if you haven't signed up for Telegram before, give it a shot. We've got a few new guys over there, and it's just great. Guys and gals, actually. And it's a really good community. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And number three, if you haven't seen the craziness that I posted earlier this week, I believe in setting goals and then making your goals public for maximum accountability. And this year I decided I wanted to be a better podcaster, a better interviewer, a better reviewer. And then I set some crazy goals. And one of those goals is to get Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs fame on this show. And, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but I figured why not do a little social media campaign? So I put out that little video the other day, hashtag do me dirty Mike. I figured we'd use some kind of funny hashtag to get his attention. And so just help me out by sharing. If you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, just post it on his social media, link him to it, and we'll get him on here. I cannot wait to pick that man's brain. But in the meantime, how about we bring Mr. Jones on here? Just give me a second. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. You can hear me all the way up in Canada, can you?
Yep. And you don't even have to yell.
Awesome. Good. That's good because, man, I tell you, whenever I fly down there, my arms get sore. And whenever I try to make a long distance phone call, my voice gets tired. So you know how it is.
Oh, I do know how it is. Hey, so I'm in Northern Virginia. I'm Dave Jones, the NBC guy. If any of your listeners want to Google me, I'm probably the first 20 things that pop up in Google. Most all of them are good too, by the way.
Right on.
So
what does NBC? Oh yeah, go ahead. You tell your story, Dave. I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah, NBC guy. You may ask, how do you get to be the NBC guy? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm going to tell you. So, 27 years, actually 24 years of active military service and nuclear, biological, chemical warfare. That's what NBC stands for. And then if you count my reserve time, it was 29 years all total. And nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, my whole time in the military. For those people that are in the military, I achieved the rank of Sergeant First Class. That's that's E7, and there's only E9 in so it's pretty high up there. And then I went to OCS, officer, and I graduated top 10% officer candidate school, #1 in my officer basic course, and I retired a major in 2000. So I actually kind of had like two careers, one enlisted and one as an officer. So I retired, and 6 months later, 9/11 happened. And 6 months after that, I found my butt back in the Army. They had dropped orders on my doorstep, said report, and I spent the next 22 continuous months traveling the Middle East, Africa, and Southwest Asia. I went to 16 different countries in 22 months, and some of those more than once. So, yeah, when I got there, it was just too bizarre. My wife wants me to write a book about these 4 years of my life because it's just too bizarre. How I met her in the country of Jordan, in Amman, Jordan, and she's Romanian. So there was a lot of things that had to come together for us to actually meet. But I digress.
That's okay.
So I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. These orders were very vague. It said report with further travel to all these other countries. So I called up this lady who had access to the WMIX. And the WMIX is the computer that keeps track of all the units in the military and all the personnel. So I gave her the unit identification code and my paragraph and line number, which means what my job was. And she said, "Hell, you're a weapons expert." I said, "I am." I said, "Small arms?" She said, "No, dummy, chemical." So I realized right then that you are a chemical weapons expert when the Army tells you you're a chemical weapons expert. So that was, we traveled all through the Middle East, civilian clothes. At the time, I was part of a vulnerability assessment team, and we would look at installations and interests in and around the Middle East, and we do vulnerability assessments. Of course, mine was chemical, but then they said, "Well, since you're a major, we're going to make you a team chief." And I'm like, team of what? And I had a Navy SEAL, Army Special Forces. I had a Marine engineer who he was great because he had a degree in English, so he always corrected our reports. and we went into Baghdad, and I sat in the back, and I the warden just came in.
That's okay.
No, I'm on video, Mom. You want to see? You want to see the warden?
I want to see if you like them.
Oh, they're wonderful. But look at this. Look, she made me. This is a Romanian dish called clătite.
Yeah, but it's got grapes.
Yeah, it's a crepe. It's
it smells good.
Thanks. Anyway, we went into Baghdad, and I said, "Well, my bullet may not be I'll shoot, but it probably won't be the one that gets them, because I had all these guys, military, police, Air Force, Special Forces, all those guys were with me. That was part of my team. So I traveled with a good group. On my civilian side, so my second week on the job, this was the first job they offered me when I was retired. I applied for everything, and this was the first one that I was offered, and it was Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, PEMA. Okay. And the job was watch officer. And people would ask me, "Watch officer, what do you watch?" I said, "Well, mostly CNN and the Weather Channel." and we did. And I think it was my 8th day on the job. We watched the events of 9/11 unfold on a big screen TV. And at my console came the call from Somerset County Dispatch. And the dispatch lady said, "Hey, I got some guy on a cell phone. He says his plane's being hijacked. What do we tell him?" And today we know that to be Flight 93. But we went into full activation from there on out, 12 on, 12 off. It was unbelievable. And that was my introduction to emergency management. So I did emergency management at PEMA, Pennsylvania Emergency Management. Went on to be a trainer, all that kind of stuff. And then a place called NASA, which you might have heard of them. And then a place, this was Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. and it's the Nuclear Weapons Command for the Air Force. Nuclear Strike Command, that I did that there. And then Department of Homeland Security had a place called Mount Weather, and that's all I'll say about that, because the first rule about Mount Weather is you don't talk about Mount Weather. So
Fair
a
enough.
lot like Fight Club.
Yep.
Yeah, you can Google it. And I retired from there 3 years ago. And boy, time is fun. I can't even believe it. I've been so busy building. I have like a small homestead here, and the warden keeps me busy. So I'm building all kinds of stuff. I'll flick the light on and show your views. My office here. I built this office. I'm pretty happy about it. Yeah. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I started this prepper thing maybe 10 years ago. I went into a prepper event, and I said, I looked around, and it was nice. It was interesting, but they didn't have an NBC guy. And I said to the organizer, I said, hey, do you have anybody that talks about NBC? He says, oh my gosh, you're an NBC guy. 2 weeks later, I was up at a fire hall addressing a group that he had put together. There were 55 people in this hall, and I was teaching them the stuff that I taught for 20 some years in the Army. And I never thought I never thought I'd be telling civilians all of this stuff. I mean, if I got to show you this. So I just have stuff like this laying around.
I got to come down to visit you sometime. That is neat.
Yeah, thanks. So then I got on in the prepper circuit. I've been asked to travel. I had a sponsor for a while that paid me to go travel. That was pretty sweet. Nice. RSDL, reactive skin decontamination lotion. It's the exact same stuff we used in the military, and they're offering it up to civilians. So I kind of just happened into it. I listened to this lady talking to the people in the next booth. They had this disposable mask that you would throw over your face and run. And it was a one-time use kind of thing. And she was telling them about this RSDL. And I said, oh, yeah, I know what that is. I actually nerve agent. Oh, so then she came over to me, and pretty soon I was a spokesman for the company. Because not many.
Oh, we might have had a little hiccup there. There you go. All right. Once in a while we lose you for just a split second, and yeah, so you that's incredible. They just picked you up and got you going as a sponsor right then and there.
Yep. So I was with them for a little over 2 years. I traveled all over the country talking about NBC and doing all this stuff. And oh, thank you.
I saw all those guys drinking soda stuff.
Yeah, well, he's drinking soda. I'm drinking Corona, if that's okay.
That's totally fine. Some nights I drink bourbon to go with it. So especially when we're having the fireside freedom, we usually do the round table. What are you drinking? And so you spent, I mean, it's so foreign to me, but I gotta kind of ask, when you mentioned Baghdad, for instance, like, did you spend a lot of time overseas? Previous, pre 9/11, had you been inactive? Had you seen, not that there was a lot, but I guess back into 90, did you see much active duty or?
Well, yeah. And I traveled, my overseas time was actually in Alaska, and I drove through Canada once. This was way back. This was 1980, maybe 81.
Okay. Yeah.
And I went to Alaska in 76. I remember because it was the bicentennial, and we shot a 13-gun salute in downtown Anchorage. And yeah, I spent 8 years in Alaska. I was an Alaska State Trooper too. So I got out of the military. This is my reserve time. I got out of the military. I was a Federal Protective Service officer and a state trooper, and later a police officer in Pennsylvania.
So were you just, did you just go to Alaska to be a state trooper, or was that some military stuff too?
The Army took me there. I originally wanted to join the military to become a military police officer, but I was too short. At that time, they had a height requirement. Yeah. And they said no. So I went into the artillery and kind of went this way NBC. I found that biological chemical field I was really good at, which I don't know why. You have certain wrinkles in your brain that make you smart at certain things. And this was just one of them. It just happened that way. See, I was originally from a small town in Pennsylvania. I mean, up in the hills.
Okay.
We I used to hit some of the stuff on the Beverly.
Oh, we might have lost you.
Did we freeze up?
Did you say Beverly Hillbillies? Oh, we lost you just a little bit there, Dave. Sorry.
That's okay. We used to say that some of the stuff on the Beverly Hillbillies wasn't funny to us.
It was real life.
Yeah. Right. I learned about cousins and two girls.
Oh no. We might be it's kicking in and out there just a little bit, Dave. If you want to keep,
how about if I turn the camera off? You think if I turn the camera off, it'll be better?
It probably will. But if you, we can try. Yeah, you're perfect now.
Okay, it's better that you don't see me, anyways.
No, we'll get you back on before we end up. Yeah. So, I remember I've been going back. So for the people that don't know or whatever, anyway, Dave's from over on the Prepper Broadcast Network too. That's where we made our connection. And so I've been working my way back through a lot of the older episodes. And I think, Dave, there was a story where you talked about, was it being in a room with nerve gas, something like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, when you go to school for NBC, they put you in this chamber where you actually use the equipment that you would in combat, and you actually do the tasks like decontaminate a vehicle in live nerve agent. So, So it's a big facility. It's all sealed up. There's tanks and trucks and stuff inside this like big garage bay. Spray nerve agent on them. Okay.
Yep.
Go out and detect the vehicle, and of course, it's detecting nerve agent. And you hose it down. So you're actually using the equipment that you would use in the field. It's kind of like a confidence building thing, but the whole time you're being monitored. They test your blood before and after, and it's really strict and really safe. And we're coming out of this, right? And when you come out of the chamber, you have to be decontaminated. And the way you do it is you hook up with a buddy, because you can't see. You're in a mask. You can't see anything. So he scrubs you down and you scrub him down. And I got a Marine warrant officer. And man, he is scrubbing me. He's scrubbing really hard. He's scrubbing my mask. And I start smelling chlorine, because that's what they scrub you down with, Clorox. And I said, Chief, you're scrubbing me too hard. I mean, I knew the next thing I was going to smell was nerve agent, and it's odorless. Okay. And these guys are behind this bulletproof glass. They're all medical people, and they're watching us, okay, to see in case we fall down, do the funky chicken. They're going to come in and rescue us. But not one of them had any protective gear on. They'd have to suit up. And I didn't want to know what the response time was. Yeah. I got to tell you, when it came time to take the pants off me, It took them 30 minutes because they were so far up the crack of my ass to get them out.
Oh, so what would happen if, I mean, I'm kind of ignorant to that kind of thing, but what would have happened if you were exposed to it? Like, is it permanent
Yeah.
damage or is it, wow.
Well, they have the antidote, and we all had the antidote with us. Like my buddy who was scrubbing me, he would be the first one to see that I had symptoms. And you always look in the person's eyes because they dilate. And it's,
Okay.
yeah. So you're watching the eye, and if dilated eyes, drooling, runny nose, okay, twitching, it'll start in the small muscles first, like twitching of the eyes, and it works to the larger muscles next. He sticks you with the needle. I mean, it's an auto injector, like
an EpiPen.
bee sting kits. It's one of those.
Okay.
And then the medical people come get you and take you out. So
Wow.
but to my knowledge, I don't think they ever had an incident. Not that I know of.
I suppose it'd be like, I mean, similar to live fire exercises. I mean, I guess it gives you some of the stress with as much safety as possible, I suppose.
Yeah. It was stressful. So I actually, in my career, I did that twice. And
Oh,
you're
wow.
only required to do it once. Yeah. When they called me back, they wanted me to go back through it again. So I said, okay.
So we booked, I forget when we first started talking about you coming on, but it would have been probably maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, kind of long before a lot of the craziness that has started recently.
Yeah.
And we're what do you want to call it? We're a preparedness channel. We're a DIY. We try not to bury our heads in the sand and completely ignore things, but we try to be solutions oriented too, But
Yep.
so you'd mentioned before we went to air something about is it DEFCON or DEFCON level changed a little bit?
Yeah, they said, I wish I could find the email now. A friend of mine sent it to me. Our DEF CON has been raised to the level of 9/11. So I don't know why today that would be that way. But of course, and also they try and keep that quiet, so that people don't go freak out. But yeah, DEF CON in the United States, that's defense condition status.
Okay.
So we're at a higher rate of readiness, higher state. So things are on alert.
So it's kind of funny. I don't know why I'm this way, but I have always wanted, probably since I was a kid, but definitely since I got married, I've always wanted an underground bunker. I know you can build them above ground. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. And I've always had this itch. And I love those movies. There was one, I don't know if you ever saw it, probably 10 years ago. I think it had Michael Shannon in it, called Take Shelter. And the guy you never really know if the guy's off his rocker or if he isn't off his rocker, But the whole premise behind it was he wanted to build an underground shelter. So yeah, is that something we can talk about a bit?
Well, sure, because I got one. And,
Yeah,
okay.
I wonder.
For anybody that has well, anybody that's ever seen my presentation, I talk down bunkers. I say, if you got a basement, you already got an underground shelter. Okay. If you just go into your basement, it cuts 90% of any radiation you could receive. I also go in my presentation, I go over why you won't get fallout. Okay. When I did nuclear target analysis for the Army, a nuclear bomb works best if it's an air burst.
Okay.
You just get more blast effect, you get more heat effect, and more radiation effect. If it's on the ground, if it touches the ground, all of that's diminished. Okay. So when we did nuclear target analysis, we were graded on the height of the bomb detonation. And you have to have a higher detonation for a bigger yield. So it's all different. These calculations are different. So you would actually fail that question if your bomb was too close to the ground. And there's a bunch of different reasons why you don't want fallout. Okay. First of all, your bomb's less effective. Secondly, it causes contamination that spreads. Okay. Eventually, you're going to want to have troops in that area, right? To hold it.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't want to contaminate it. And, we are the breadbasket of the world. I mean, Ukraine and all of them, they grow a lot of wheat, but do you really want to contaminate the farmland of the United States? I don't think so. So all of these reasons are why you wouldn't get fallout. Now, there are some times when you want the bomb to hit the ground, and that's when you got like underground targets, when you got bunkers or subterraneous structures that you want to take out. Okay. And then, sometimes you just mess up. So if they mess, you're going to get fallout. Yeah, they just did.
Okay.
But can I explain to your listeners the fallacy behind that big map of the United States, and when it shows all the detonations and then the fallout goes across the country? Yeah, there's a lot of fallacies. Well, okay. The fallacies with that map is they use every nuclear weapon that's in the Russians' arsenal, every one. And that is an impossibility. It's physically impossible to use all the weapons all at once. First of all, some of them will be down for maintenance at one time. They rotate these things out. A nuclear weapon is highly complex and it needs a lot of maintenance. So some of them will be in the maintenance shop. Some of them won't be in position to fire, because when the word comes down, the sub will not be close enough, or they won't be in position to fire. And aren't they going to save some? I mean, England is going to come to our aid. Maybe India, maybe Pakistan. France is iffy, but
maybe Israel.
Yeah, maybe Israel. So they're going to save some. They're not going to fire them all at once, all at one location. So the amount of fallout that's depicted is greatly, greatly exaggerated.
Okay. So I might have misheard. So did you say that the higher the nuke, like in the air, the higher the fallout, or is that incorrect?
No, it's the opposite. So
okay, so on the ground is where you'd get it.
Yes, because fallout, I want your viewers to know this too. Fallout is nothing but radioactively charged dirt. Okay?
I was wondering. Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Okay.
It is dirt. And if you can effectively wash dirt off of your body, you can effectively decontaminate. Okay. So everybody listening can decontaminate themselves. It's dirt. And because it's dirt, it doesn't last very long. If you want to know the half-life of fallout, Google the rule of sevens. Because in every increment of 7, the radiation decays of fallout 1/2. So it decays very rapidly. It's not a nuclear isotope. Okay, people get freaked out that this fallout's going to last forever. It's not. Now, you will get what's called neutron-induced radiation. That's right directly below the bomb. Okay, now neutron-induced radiation lasts a lot longer, which, makes sense. If you're gonna go somewhere, don't go to ground zero. Okay.
Right.
I had one guy say to me, well, I heard you have to scrape 6 inches of topsoil off your ground before you can plant there.
I've
And you
seen
know what
that,
I said to him? Don't plant there. If it's contaminated, don't plant there. I mean, you want to.
That makes
There'll
sense.
be plenty of land that's not contaminated. Go somewhere else.
So, okay, then does that,
I mean,
am kind of trying to pick your brain here a little bit, but so say, I mean, they picked 2 or 3 large cities. I don't know. We'll just pick LA, for instance. So that basically means that that area is going to be radioactive for a long time afterwards. Is that correct?
spread on the ground.
Oh, it cut
Okay.
you
And
off
it,
just a
it
little bit.
decays very, very. Oh, okay. It's the
Sorry.
fallout that the ground, and it decays very rapidly.
Okay.
Also, fallout travels by the wind.
Right.
And we would never do a fallout prediction if the wind speed was 5 miles an hour or less, because it's just too indiscriminate. If the
Okay.
wind doesn't have a clear direction, it's not going to travel. It's going to boom, blow up in the air, and fall right back down. So it's not going to travel very far from ground zero. So the wind speed, the average wind speed, if you Google this, the average wind speed, and I always use Washington, D.C. as my example, because,
Makes
if you
sense.
only
Yep.
had one nuke, where would you put it?
Right.
Either Washington, D.C. or New York City. It's 50-50. So the average wind speed in Washington, D.C. year round is 6 miles an hour.
Okay.
So it's going to go, but it ain't going to go very far. Okay. It's going to go downwind. And everybody that watches the weather, everybody out there, do you watch the weather? I usually get people to raise their hand. And
there, my hands up.
Okay. You know which way the wind blows in your area.
The prevailing wind direction. Yes.
Exactly. And if you are not downwind from an honest to God, bona fide target, okay, a lot of people think they got targets, but truthfully, if you got a limited number of nukes, you got to really plan these targets. And then are they ever going to use just one on Washington, D.C.? No. They're going to make sure they got Washington, D.C. Know this. The number one thing of nuclear weapons, number one, they have primary, secondary, and tertiary targets. The number one thing is to eliminate your ability to retaliate. So that means, missile silos, large military installations that have nuclear power, command and control, which, Washington, D.C., the Pentagon, the CIA, everything, blah, 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 blah. And those are primary targets. I mean, those are, so, a lot of people say, well, I live close to Dugway Proving Grounds where they used to have chemical weapons back in the 80s, and they may still have some stored there. Dude, they're not going to waste a nuke in that place.
That's funny. This is one of those, honestly, you would think, anyway, I know there's certain things like, so for instance, like Tuesday night on Fireside Freedom, we're going to talk about the concept of death and being prepared. That's a topic we don't talk about a lot. This here, nukes, it's something we don't necessarily talk a whole hell of a lot about, but I love your perspective, Dave, because it's not, I mean, yeah, it's a doom and gloom topic, but it's the way you come about it. You're honest and pragmatic and very much the opposite of doom and gloom. Is that kind of, am I interpreting that right?
Well, but I lend a bit of reality to it. I mean, if you apply an ounce of common sense, I used to say to people, emergency management is 90% common sense. And then the other 10% is just the paperwork and how we do things. It's very, very, if you think about it. Okay. Now let's take it to the other extreme.
Sure.
Right? Let's say there is one nuke. I mean, one nuke. And, when I worked at NASA, okay, there was an exercise that was planned. And I think the original plan was to have this nuke in, I think, Los Angeles. And early on, California raised hell, and they moved it to Las Vegas. Okay. And then Vegas, they did all the planning, the preparation. They got all the training dollars, because there's a lot of training dollars that come along with these national level exercises, right? And
Yes.
They spent the money. Well, then the senators from Nevada got together and they said, hell no, we don't want to hit on tourism. Okay. So they totally scrapped the nuke going off in Las Vegas. But let's just use that as an example. Okay.
Sure.
If a nuclear bomb goes off anywhere in this country, it will be pandemonium. Okay. Because it will be crazy town. People will be going out of their minds. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you several examples if you want them. So panic is the number. I cover this in my presentation too. Panic is the number one thing that will kill you in a nuclear, biological, or chemical warfare. Okay? And you're saying, why, yes, panic. I'm in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We're training chemical guys. We're cranking them out. This was in the 1980s. Ronald Reagan was in office, and the Soviet Union, they were the bad guys. They were the evil empire. Okay. And we knew we were the good guys, and we had to get these chemical guys trained. And I'm in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and these guys are training to be chemical. And I heard of a chemical unit that was going to decontaminate a National Guard armor unit. Okay. Think about this. This is a car wash big enough to wash a tank, set up out in the middle of the woods. This is something you don't see every day.
Yeah.
So I called them. I said, hey, can I get my guys to come down and see your operation? They said, yeah, sure. Come on down. So we go down. We didn't have any protective gear with us whatsoever. We didn't have our masks, nothing. And they said, just stay behind that engineer tape. Engineer tape is this plastic tape that marks areas so you control traffic. And it's basically so we didn't get run over by a 60-ton tank, because they can't see. When they're all buttoned up and they have their masks on, they'd smash you. On where to go, how to stop, what was going to happen, what they were supposed to do. And they were told, your tank will be sprayed down with nerve agent simulant, not stimulant. Okay. Simulant. And then the guy that was spraying the tanks, now he should have got an Academy Award, because he had a separate path that led to the tanks that were marked off by engineer tape. And this sprayer that he had, okay, and the simulant they were using was insect repellent. We called it bug juice, okay? It was the same stuff we put on our skin, but it detects positive for nerve agent. So if you put your little detector on there, it's going to say, this is nerve agent, which is great. But he put this in a garden sprayer, and this garden sprayer was in a sump. He buried it in a sump, and he had full protective gear on. Hell, he had rubber gloves on up to his elbow. I don't know where he got those. And he went down to the tank, sprayed the tanks, came back. He got checked, okay? Like it was really something. And then he took his gear off and he sat and listened to the briefing with the drivers. So then the drivers go to get in their tanks and they're all buttoned up. They got their full gear on, mop gloves, everything. And the one driver goes underneath the engineer tape. Now, mind you, we had nothing. We just had our uniforms. That was it. The guy no sooner gets underneath the engineer tape, he falls down at my feet. He starts flopping around. It's Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I'm thinking it's a heat casualty. So I grab him, I drag him back underneath a tree. I pull his mask off, and he goes, I got it. I got it. I know I got it. And I'm thinking to myself, you got bug juice? You go, what? They medevac that guy out in an ambulance. To this day, I don't know if he knew it was bug juice. But that's what panic will do to you.
That's
panic
incredible.
will make you. Yeah, I know. And so I'm in Saudi Arabia, and I'm doing the terrorist, thing and all this kind of stuff. I call home to my ex-wife. We were married for 27 years, had a good relationship, and I say to her, "Oh, how's it going? I'm traveling around doing the terrorist thing," and she says, "Oh my God, I can't get enough duct tape and plastic." I'm like, "What the hell are you into, woman? You ain't never did this when we were married." And she says, No. Homeland Security came on and they said, we need duct tape and plastic. Do you remember that? It caused such a run on Home Depot and Lowe's, and everybody was freaking out that they needed duct tape and plastic for their doors and windows. Now, trust me on this. If you do not live in the house that was built at the turn of the last century, where the wind blows and the curtain moves.
Yep.
My grandparents' house, that farmhouse. Okay. If you do not live in that farmhouse, you do not need duct tape and plastic. I mean, think about this for a second. Haven't we been caulking our asses off since the 1970s? Haven't we? We've been sealing up our houses to save that energy. Hell, a fart can't get out of your house. How is chemical weapons going to get in?
That's crazy.
Right? Yeah. You need in place, but you do not need duct tape and plastic. And the first thing I tell people, whenever there's a nuclear bomb that detonates, and you will know this, and you'll say, well, how will I know this? Because it's the brightest thing you've ever seen in your life. It blanks out the sun.
Wow.
If you were 20 miles away from the blast that landed on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, now 20 miles away, you probably wouldn't feel a thing. You would not get any effects from it. But 20 miles away, and you had your back to the blast, and your eyeballs were closed, and your arm was over your eyes, you would be able to see the bones in your arm.
Are you serious?
Yes. That is how bright it is. You will see a nuclear blast for hundreds of miles.
So I not to go off on too much of a tangent, but that seems to me like it might cause some vision problems for people too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially at night, which is the best time for a nuclear attack.
Why is that?
Okay.
I think I know. Yeah.
Lots of reasons. I used to say this when Trump was in office. Where's Trump? And people would look at me like, oh, I don't know. Where the hell is Trump? I don't know. But I'll tell you where he is at night. Mm-hmm. He is sleeping with that supermodel, ain't he? He is in bed with that supermodel.
Yeah.
Your targets at night are more stationary.
Huh.
There's not a lot of movement, not a lot of up and down. There's not a lot of question. Also, the temperature conditions and situation is right. Think about the planet. The planet is round, and everybody that hates us is on the other side of the planet. Are they going to attack with their night shift people? No. How many people been on night shift? Those people are on night shift for a reason, right?
Yep.
They can't be on day shift. They're too scary. So they're going to attack with their daytime people. If you
Right.
look at when Kim was shooting the missiles off, this was way back. My son was in Misawa, Japan. He was in the Air Force. He's out now. He's a hobo in Mooching office right now, but I'll be eternally proud of him for the 6 years he spent active duty military, Air Force, Misawa, Japan. I am in Walmart at 6:00 at night, and I get a text from him. He says, "Dad, they say there's a missile attack. What do I do?" I said, "Get the hell down. What are you texting me for?" Yeah. So if you look at that, it was 6:00 in the morning for him. That's when Kim was, his day shift guy, his day shift scientist, 6:00 in the morning. So it's going to be at night for a number of reasons. Also, you get extra casualties from blindness at night.
Huh.
So the effects of a nuclear detonation at night are greater, not to mention more timely.
I'm thinking, I know when you spray pesticides and herbicides, you're supposed to do it in the evening or in the morning, like just at dawn or just at dusk, because the wind seems to be I don't want to say traditionally, but it tends to be the least volatile. So that might be a bonus, at least,
Well, and that's also for a chemical attack. So if you want to do a good chemical attack, there's something called an inversion, and that's where the wind, the air goes down to the ground. Sometimes you can see it where there's like a layer of fog, and it doesn't go higher. And that inversion is what you want, because it holds the chemicals closer to the ground longer. And if you do it at night, you don't get, the sun evaporates stuff, the heat evaporates stuff. So at night is a good time for a chemical attack. Biological, the same way. If you're attacking with a biological agent, the ultraviolet rays of the sun could kill it.
I've never thought of that. Wow.
Yeah. So nighttime is the best time. So what may happen is we wake up in the morning and we say, "Oh shit, nothing's working. Nothing. I can't get anything. I can't." And you won't know why, but I always tell the people that come to my presentation, the first thing you need to do after a nuclear, biological, or chemical attack, change your pants.
No. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the rest of the people in your group will thank you for it. But the reason I say that is calm down, think. First of all, you've been to my class. So if you see that brilliant flash of light, okay, that blanks out the sun, everybody else is going to be staring at it saying, "What the hell is that?" What are you going to be doing? Well, you should be changing your pants, because you're going to know what it is. Okay. And what that means is take stock of your situation. Know where you are right now, because yesterday was the last day you could prep.
Right.
Okay. Inventory, communications, do. For God's sake, if it's a nuclear attack, don't run and get your Geiger counter right away. Because if he launched one, won't he launch another one? Yeah, he might launch another one just to get you, EMP effect and screw you up, just to piss you off. Damn, just got my shit out of the Faraday cage and he burned it up.
It's like what
So
the terrorists
take your
did.
time.
They wait for the EMS to show up.
Yep.
So sorry, I cut you off there. It was a little lag, but yeah. So take your time, take stock, and where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. Take stock, establish communications. If your family's split up, what's your plan to get back together? That number one. Now, if it's at nighttime, you should all know where your children are, right? But you be, this is the time to initiate, okay? And if you're away and your car breaks down, EMP, know this about EMP. It is too sporadic, too unpredictable. We did not count any casualties to EMP. Okay, this is back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We did not count those casualties. Those were extra casualties. So that effect we didn't even count for.
Okay. So is it one of those things?
Everybody else is trying to figure out what's going on. You want to be already making your way home.
Right. Oh, might have cut out there again. If you did, so yeah. So if you're, I don't know if you can hear me, Dave. Hopefully you can. So if you're heading home, then, so yeah, okay. I heard you say heading home. So and then from there. So hopefully, maybe we should slide back a little too. But if you're, if you're prepped and you've got your food, you've got your water, you've got your ammo, your guns, whatever it is that is the most important thing to you, and then you're like, hey, you know what I really want? I want some area in my home or, whatever as a shelter. Where do you start with that? What do you do?
Oh, that's great. Because, before I had the shelter that I had, and truthfully, the only reason I have it, two reasons. Okay.
Yep.
Because if you buy my presentation, which I have it right here, if you buy my presentation or go to Prepper Broadcasting, become a member, you can see me live before live prepper groups talking about it. I talk down bunkers. And the reason I talk down bunkers is because, the average bunker is like $10,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is if you do a lot of the work yourself. I was able to get a 1,700-gallon cistern for $500.
Really?
4 inches of reinforced concrete with a lid for $500. And that's $500 delivered to my house and dropped in the hole.
So it's made out of concrete, Dave?
Yes. 4 inches of reinforced concrete. Now think about this. You have a structure that's about 6 feet tall, 8 feet wide, and 12 feet long. Okay?
Right.
That if you bury it with 3 feet of dirt on the top, it keeps a constant temperature of 58 degrees. Now, that is like having a walk-in refrigerator that you never have to plug in.
Right.
And it can be a bomb shelter.
I love it. 2 is one is not. Yeah, multiple uses, right? Yeah.
Yep. So I got this thing. My neighbor does excavation as a living. He gave me rock price on digging the hole, and I was able to put this thing in for around $1,000. Okay.
Yep.
So if you could have something like this for $1,000, wouldn't you drop the money on it?
Yeah, it's a root cellar too, basically.
Yeah, that's what I wanted it for. It was the root cellar. The bomb shelter, that's just a bonus, because I really don't think I'm ever going to need it as a bomb shelter.
Right.
But it's there if I did. And
that's awesome.
So, yeah, I have a video on that too. How I did it, how I negotiated the deal. If anybody has any questions that's out there listening, and I don't care if nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, just email me, nbcguy@protonmail.com. And I'll gladly answer them. If you want my DVDs, I have them on flash drive and DVD. I also have how I built that root cellar. So if anybody's interested in that, step by step. This is actually part one. Part two is happening this year, where we're going to outfit it with shelves. We're going to put the waterproof cement in there and keep it a constant humidity, so we can keep, all of our all of our meat, and you can hang meat in there.
That's cool.
I mean, yeah, it's huge and it's fantastic, and it's in my backyard.
How far below the surface is it?
Well, if you go from the top of the ground to the bottom of the floor, 10 feet.
10 feet. Okay.
So I have 3 feet. I have 3 feet of earth on top of it.
Right.
So that's the insulation, and then there's 4 inches of reinforced concrete. That's the whole $500.
And how
delivered to the hole. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. How do you get down into it?
Well, I'm building stairs right now. There's 3 ladders, three rungs, and then there's a platform, and then there's stairs. So if you want to put stuff in, you just walk down to the platform, someone hands it to you, and you go down in, because there's no real way to put stairs all the way down this tube.
Right.
Maybe if I would have thought about it and put the tube at a different angle, I could have had like a winding staircase. But for that,
yeah.
for 3 feet, yeah.
That's cool.
So I'm going to have 3. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. So I'm trying to picture. I know basically what it looks like, but it comes with an access. I guess that would be like a clean out hatch or something that you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now the difference between the cistern and the septic tank, okay, because you can get a 1,500-gallon septic tank. The only difference is my entrance is square. The septic tank is round. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The septic tank one, they have what they call risers, which I couldn't use because they're round. So I had to actually build my access up about 4 feet, so that, and it's anchored into the concrete, and it's 2x4s. I use 2x4s for the insulation, and then I put 3/4 inch plywood outside and inside, and they're all screwed together. So it's one solid piece of heavy dutiness.
So say then, because I'm always thinking, but so you said if you have a basement, you're already 90% protected. So say you had say you had a storage room or a pantry or just an 8x8 or 10x10 corner in your basement. You wanted to, again, I think one of the best rules of preparedness is to, whenever you spend money on something, make sure it's something you're going to use on a regular basis, right? So like you said, yours is going to be storage, but it can also be a bomb shelter. So what would you do if you had like a blank space in a basement? Where would you start with that? I know you sent me an old video from was it the 50s or 60s? I love that. But what would you tell people would be a good way to maybe up their protection or,
Well, okay. That's a great question, because you want to locate the corner or spot in your basement that is the furthest underground. Now know that everything is shielding everything, even air. So whereas Maria wanted to put, some kind of lead sheeting over top of us, the rest of the house is over top of us. Okay. The roof is over top of us. The walls are over top of us, and the floor is over top of us. Okay.
Right.
So all of that is cover, and the distance between the roof and the basement is air. So that's all shielding. So the amount of radiation that you will get from that is very, very small. Then you want to locate yourself at the lowest point. So you're the furthest away. So a cot or actually sleeping on the floor. And the reason I say sleeping is because you've all seen this presentation. If things get bad, right? And you know it's going to happen most likely at night, why wouldn't you sleep in your basement? I mean, just yeah, at some point say, you know what? For the next week, we're going to spend the next 7 days sleeping in the basement, just in case, case. And see how it works. If it works good, and iron out your plans. You wake up the next morning, okay, the bomb didn't hit. We're fine. Go about your business. So that's where you want to locate it. People ask me about ventilation. You have the ventilation of your entire house. You have the oxygen that's in your entire house. Now, there again, if your house is not like porous, if the dirt doesn't fly in your cracks of your door, fallout is dirt.
Right.
Chances are it's not going to come in your house. First of all, I've described to you why you won't get fallout. What your chances of getting fallout are. You got to be close to a target. Now you could be close to a target, but then you also have to be downwind from that target.
Right.
And close enough that you would get fallout from that target. Because remember, fallout is dirt that gets sucked up into the cloud, gets the radioactive charge, and then proceeds downwind at the wind speed. I watched one person's video. I'm not going to tell you who he was, but you could obviously tell he was freaked out about fallout. And he was talking about getting out of your car and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, if you're that close, you have other things to be worried about other than fallout. Because what's the wind speed? Well, let's say it's 10 miles an hour. And let's make this easy. You're 10 miles from ground zero. Wind speed's 10 miles an hour. The soonest you can get fallout is a half hour.
Okay.
The latest is 2 hours. So it's half the time or twice the time. And if you do not get fallout in twice the time,
you're not getting it. Oh, you cut out again there. Oh, sorry. You said if you don't get it in twice the time, and then you cut out. Sorry, Dave.
Oh, that's okay. It could be my guy playing Fortnite over there. He's using up all my bandwidth. I better go kick him off. But if you don't get fallout in twice the amount of time, you will never get fallout. Okay, so it just will not reach you.
So how fast? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's say, bang, the bomb goes off. The soonest you can get fallout is 30 minutes. And if you know that, how much can you get done in 30 minutes?
Quite a bit. And then, might have lost you again there. Sorry if you did. And then how fast, if you can hear me, how fast does the dirt tend to come back to Earth?
Great question. Smaller particles travel further. Bigger particles drop them. And if it's raining, it goes completely down. The rain washes it out of the air, and there'll be heavy pockets of fallout that are close to ground zero. So also fog, rain, snow all limit the effects of nuclear blast.
Yes, sir. So then, you said sleep in your basement. Do you need to take Is that enough? Like, is a corner room in the basement at the lowest point in your home? Is that enough, or do you? Because you know us as preppers, we always want to do more. We always want to spend more. We always want to build more. But do you need to do you need to build another brick wall with a brick roof in the basement, or do you think really that corner room is enough?
Well, let me ask you this. If you got bookshelves, are you going to put them up against the window?
Probably
Hell
not.
yes.
Oh, sure.
What?
Yeah. Okay. My bad.
Yeah. No, but I mean, if you think the attack is imminent,
Mm-hmm.
if you think that things are going to go, you would want to put mattresses, bookshelves, anything you got up against the exposed wall. Okay? That way it gives you more protection.
Right.
Did I lose you?
Nope, you're good. I'm sorry. I'm captivated. I cannot believe how much I've learned so far.
I'm giving away all the secrets here.
That's okay. That's what we like. I love. Yeah, this is great, man. So you're saying build up mattresses, all of that stuff?
Yeah. Hey, if I can recommend some things for your viewers, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, there was a movie with Jason Robart. I think it's free on YouTube. You can watch it. It was the most accurate depiction of a nuclear attack I think I've ever seen in a movie. Okay. And it was made back in the 80s after. Okay.
The day after. Yep.
Now, yes. Now know the fallacies of this movie, because we had a lot more nuclear weapons back in the 80s than we have right now.
Okay.
Okay, there's a lot less. We demilled them. We took them. Hell, we used to have a thing called the Davy Crockett. Okay. Now, if your listeners Google Davy Crockett, check it out, because it's a joke. It's a joke. It had a blast radius further than you could shoot it. So
Yeah.
who the hell would fire that thing? Yeah,
Right.
you would kill yourself. So it was mad scientist time back then. It was strange shit. So I actually went to nuclear weapons school, and they had a nuclear weapon. This was back in the day, that would be in the back of a 2.5, a 2.5-ton truck. And this thing was designed so that it would be right next to the command post. And you would have a 1/4 mile of commo wire, WD1, and that's what you would set it off with. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a 1/4 mile away, because you're going to die anyways. It was designed to kill everybody. It was like it would kill everybody in the perimeter and outside the perimeter. It was when your perimeter was being overrun and you just detonated it. That wasn't the craziest thing about this. Okay. The craziest thing about this was it weighed 2,000 pounds. And they actually put 4 handles on this thing.
Like somebody
Think
could lift
about
it?
this. Yeah, like why?
It's
I
just,
don't.
yeah.
It's crazy.
You wouldn't even pick it up with 8 people, I don't think. Geez, you'd be, holy cow.
I saw the picture of that in this truck, and this guy's going over this stuff, and I said, "Why did they put handles on it if it weighs 2,000 pounds?"
So here, if you here's another question. Then again, I like lists. I like giving lists to people, and we always, I don't know. Sometimes when people, again, as preppers, we love to buy gear. What do you? I was actually quite interested the other day when you talked about the iodine, if that's right, the iodine capsules. But what should a person have on hand? What would be some gear that if you wanted to?
Okay, now I'm gonna turn the cam back on because I gotta show you my Geiger counter here.
Sure.
Now this has sentimental value because I used to live close to 3 Mile Island. Okay,
Okay.
so this was mine. Okay, and you can get newer ones, which is Mirror Safety has this one right here. It's like a dosimeter. It's as small as a dosimeter, but it actually gives you readings and it beeps, which I really like. And if you can get a hold of these, you might understand they're in big demand right now. So
Sure.
if you can get them. Now, a radiac meter, first of all, I have all chances of you getting fallout. It's pretty slim. But if you want peace of mind, okay, you want to know that people coming into your area are not contaminated, or the food that you may be eating is not contaminated. This is what you need. You need something to check it with. And this is not a survey meter, okay? This detects very small amounts of radiation. Now, some people will tell you, oh, you don't want that. That'll peg out. You know, you'll get so... You don't want to be where there's getting this much radiation.
Right.
You want to be way back somewhere. And this feel good. It's a thing that you can use to check, because this is what they call a beta probe. Okay. First of all radiac meters detect gamma. Okay. This was another question I had the other day from a listener. Well, I wanted to get this one, but it only detects gamma. What about alpha and beta? They all detect gamma, because gamma radiation is what, when the particle decays or becomes stable, it gives off gamma radiation. So that's what it detects.
So that's,
now,
okay.
Which a beta particle, it's a particle, it's not a ray. Gamma is a ray. So if you want to detect all kinds of things, you're looking for gamma, because alpha and beta give off gamma radiation. Alpha particles, there's a very specialized type of detector, and it has a screen on it about this big, and it's basically, you got to put it on the ground like this to detect alpha radiation. So don't worry about alpha, beta. What I tell people is, you want to know
Oh, we might have lost you again, Dave. You were going to say, I tell
Sorry.
you, I think two. That's okay. Two things. You're going to go with two things, you said, I think.
Yeah. Two things. You want to know two things: radiation, no radiation, right?
Yeah.
You really don't care anything else. You know, people ask me all the time, well, you got to get this calibrated. No, you don't. You want to know if it works or if it don't work. You don't have to get calibrated, to a standard of a micron. You don't need that, right?
Right.
I mean, use your common sense. If it works now, and this one has a radioactive source right here, so you can test it. Okay, it's a little, and you can test it on watches that have the or tritium sights. You can test it on tritium sights, and if you know it works, it's good to go.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, and basically that's just for your food, your water, and your decontamination of your personnel. When you wash, you want to pay particular attention to hair. I have a little less hair than I used to.
I know.
Scrub those areas. Scrub them. Don't let them into your area until you scrub them down.
Just regular
and
soap?
know that fallout, regular soap, regular water, it's dirt.
Yep.
That's why even a painter's mask will work for radiation, because it's particles. it's dust, it's dirt. If you can filter out dirt, you can filter out radiation.
That's
okay.
cool.
So then you
Yeah.
just throw it away.
So
Get your new filter.
So say, I mean, I know this is all, but say you were out in it for 10 minutes, right? And you got covered in it and then you got washed off. Does,
Yeah.
Obviously those 10 minutes are bad, but once it's off, do you stop getting the negative effects of it? I know whatever's happened has happened, but it doesn't
Yeah.
continue to affect you any at a greater, does that make sense?
No.
I know yeah.
Yeah. It makes very much sense. And it's a very common question. Okay. So the dangers of fallout is ingesting it. Okay. Ingesting it or breathing it in. So when it's in your system is when it can do the most damage. If it's on your skin, you can wash it off. You wash it off, you'll get burns, you'll get irritation, and it will be just like a regular burn, only by radiation. The thing about radiation sickness is once you get it, you can't get better because it's a damaging effect to your cells that you can never recover from. Now, radiation sickness, you'll get symptoms, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, headaches, and you'll recover from that. But the sickness will always be with you. You may have hair loss. People with chemotherapy experience radiation sickness. Okay. They get better, their hair grows back, and they've killed their cancer. It's chemotherapy to extend your life.
Right.
Okay, so can't tell you. Cancer will kill you in 5 years. Radiation will give you 10 years.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. And then, so this is cool. I don't know how not that I didn't know this, but so basically, I mean, if you do need to venture outside, if you had concern, I mean, number one, like you said, it's not going to stay up there forever. It's going to come down fairly quickly, and you're going to know when and where it's been. So if it didn't make it to your area within, like you said, well, depending, but I mean, if it didn't make it to your area, it's not going to make it to your area. So you know that. If it did, and you did need to go outside in it, it sounds like a nose and mouth covering would be. What about your eyes? Is that an issue?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If you have time and you can prep for the exterior thing, do you have large trash bags and duct tape?
Yes.
You have a protective suit. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Add some nylon gloves. Okay. You protected your hands. A shopping bag over your head, shop goggles, N95 mask. Now think about that. You have a complete protective suit, and anywhere you need to, you can put more tape on it. You can put tape here, so that you are completely covered. And it's not to protect you from the radiation, it's to protect you from the fallout so it doesn't get on your skin.
Okay.
And then when you come back in, you remove everything. Okay. Scrub yourself down as completely as you can. If you don't have any detection gear, just do the best you can. Number one, if you're worried, take all the precautions you can. Cover yourself up, cover every orifice, put the large trash bags and duct tape. You will look stupid, but you'll feel a lot better. Okay. And then when you're done, do the thing. Throw those trash bags away. You can burn them. You can bury them. Know that the fallout decays very rapidly. Okay? Scrub yourself down. The only thing you have to worry about with your family is if you're bringing that fallout in. You can't give it to them. Do you understand? It's not like a sickness. So don't feel like, oh, I got radiation, I don't want to spread it. No, it won't happen now. It doesn't happen that way. It's the dirt.
So if you keep
So
it
if
out
you
of
don't track
your,
if you don't track that dirt in from outside, they're not getting it.
and even if you did track a little bit in,
Yeah.
you would have to, number one, brush it off yourself. Then it would have to become airborne. And then your family would have to, or possibly touch it and then put their fingers in their mouth, something like that.
Yeah, the worst thing is to eat it or breathe it in. So once it's inside your body, that's the worst thing, you know.
Right.
It doesn't have a search and destroy mode.
Sure.
It's dirt.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just dirt.
It's going to lay there. Yeah. It's going to lay there and do its thing, decay, and become regular dirt after a while.
So, I mean, you'd never want to ingest any, of course, but what happens if I don't know, like what an eighth of a teaspoon, I don't even know what size, but you know, like say you had a little bit on your finger and you accidentally, you know, licked your finger or something.
Yeah, it's not going to kill you.
Okay.
It's not or ricin. It's not a poison. I mean, it's going to make you sick. You need a lot of it to kill you. Okay. There used to be this, if you got 200 centigrade or rads, whatever you want to call them, measurements of, and 200 is quite a bit, you would get a discharge from the military. You've got too much radiation, you'd be medically discharged. Okay.
Right.
At 200 centigrade, 50% of the people won't even feel it. They won't get sick. Okay. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different tolerance. Okay? So the thing you have to do, though, is determine whether this is psychosomatic, panic, or actual contamination.
Right.
Because some people will just freak out. Then you'll say, oh my God, they got radiation sickness. When really it's just the situation.
I think information, oh my goodness, I think information is the biggest tool a person can get with this.
Absolutely.
It's unreal. This is like, it just blows me away how much this, I don't even want to say calms a person's nerves, but just makes you feel more equipped just simply knowing this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the thing that'll kill you most is panic. I mean, if you just stop and sit down in your chair, how can I solve this? Trash bags and duct tape. I'll put that N95 mask, get my shop goggles out, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll put this trash bag over my head. You got a chemical protective suit that also works for radiation.
That's crazy.
You got to think through it. Yep.
We've been almost an hour and a half. I could pick your brain all night. This is great. But so is it potassium iodide? Is that right? Or iodine, the pills?
Yeah. Want me to tell about that? Yeah.
Yeah, because
now it's a very, yes, it's very.
Oh,
I'm going to turn my camera.
Okay.
I'm going to turn my camera off.
Sure.
Oh, it's okay. It's a very limited use. Okay. Potassium iodide works only on a specific type of radioactive isotope. And I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but if you do enough research, you'll find it.
Right.
This isotope is produced in a nuclear detonation, but it's produced in very small quantities, which may not travel very far from ground zero. In a nuclear power plant meltdown, it's produced quite a bit, and it does travel on the wind from a meltdown, and that's why they recommend it downwind from nuclear power plants. Okay? Now, it only protects you against this one isotope. It does not protect you against fallout. Fallout is dirt,
Oh,
and there's 4 different
right.
types of dirt. Yeah. So another thing, they don't recommend it for anybody over 40 because it's designed for
Damn it.
you to not get thyroid cancer when you're 20 or 60. So they don't recommend it for anybody over 40. Kids, it goes by weight. And also know that their thyroid is still developing. So it's very tricky with kids. And the reason they only give you 12 of them in the pack is they don't want you to overdose on it. And do you know when?
Oh, no, it cut out just a little, but go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean, they don't want you to overdose on it. That's why they only give you like a 12 pack. Okay.
Okay.
But when are you going to start taking it? You know, if you don't know when to start taking it to be effective, potassium iodide, people have this idea that it's anti-radiation pills, and it's not.
Right.
You just got to do the research.
Yeah, there's not a lot of information out there. I spent a lot of time digging a few years ago when, Fukushima or whatever, and I thought, I need to have these. And the more I read, the more I was like, I'm not really sure what they do. So this is cool. Yeah,
if you have a good diet, if you're getting a good amount of iodine anyways, and your thyroid is healthy, I wouldn't worry about it. Now, I used to tell people, if you want to get it, go ahead. An easy prep, it's $8. They've gone up to over $20. So it's no longer a cheap prep. It's one of those, but it's very limited use if you're a young person, a young adult, okay? And you live close to a nuclear power plant, you should absolutely. If you're worried about it in an all-out nuclear war, I don't think thyroid cancer 20 years from now should be a concern.
Spend your money on goggles, N95 masks, and a couple of boxes of garbage bags instead.
Oh, you missed that?
I did. Sorry. Yeah.
So I don't think that all-out new 20 years from now, I think you have more pressing problems.
Absolutely. Where you're going to find food. And yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So people freaking out about potassium iodide, I would not.
So it sounds like it's not a dosimeter, but so what do they call the modern Geiger counters? The one you showed there, the little digital one?
Well, in the military, we called them radiac meters, but there were a few different kinds. In the military, you were supposed to go into radioactive areas, and you were supposed to measure this shit. And if need be, you were supposed to stay there for a certain period of time. That's why I say that guy, don't plant there. If you're in a contaminated area, stay there.
Oh, we might have lost you again, Dave. I'm so sorry. Yep, that's all right.
That's okay.
Yeah, and then so
you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. Right quick before we wrap up, though, the mirror safety products. That's the one you said. Is that really the only place to get one of those little Geiger counter digital devices, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Yes. Now they're almost out of them, and I can't get them anymore.
Imagine there's a bit of a demand for them, is there?
Yeah. If people want them, just go to Mirror Safety. They're $129. They're really good, very small, highly portable, and they do the job.
And how do you spell Mira?
Mira.
Ah, just the way it sounds then. Okay. Well, maybe we will. Well, first off, I'd love to have you back in the future, because I'm sure after this episode hits, like, there's been people in here listening live, but I know there's going to be questions like crazy. This was, yeah. So, yeah, if you're interested, I'd love to have you back again sometime, Dave, even on a different topic. But so you said your email address.
Well, sure. We didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, we didn't talk much about building the shelter, but I think you're. If you have something radiation, if you get radiation.
Yep.
So there you go. Yeah, my email is nbcguy@protonmail.com. nbcguy@protonmail.com.
And you love to answer questions, don't you, Dave? Oh, we might have lost him again. Man, we were doing so good, everybody, too. This was great. If you can hear me, Dave, just if you want to hang on in the background.
@protonmail.com.
There we are. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it kicked out again. Sorry, man. But if you want to, I'll make sure I put your email address, and I'll get the link to Mirror Safety Products too. I'll put that in the description so people have it. But if you want to hang on for just a second, I'll close up the show and I'll pop back with you.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh, no problem. Happy to do it. Take care,
Thanks.
Tim.
Well, guys, that was, oh my God, 90 minutes of Dave took us to school. Absolutely. I cannot believe what I learned from him. This just blows me away. I'm like a little kid in a candy store when I get to learn something new, even if it's a topic that sometimes is a little uncomfortable to discuss or even consider, you know? But I don't know. I'm sure I got another 1,000 questions I could ask Dave, but I don't know if everybody else feels better. I feel a lot better talking to him, just simply because information is power. And to know that, rolls of garbage bag, hefty bags from the grocery store, goggles and N95 masks are more than sufficient protection for the most part. It was just awesome. And like I said, guys, if you want to know more about Dave, I mean, you can, the NBC guy at protonmail.com, but also come over to PBN. I say it all the time, but just subscribe to PBN and whatever your podcatcher is. And if you get a lot of value from it and you want to go by and become a member, great. I just did it myself. I'm a content creator, but I wanted to support them. And there's some really cool stuff over there. But honestly, it's just to get to pick. I mean, how often do we get to have a former military vet who also worked for NASA and is, one of the top in the field on NBC kind of information? It was great. So anyway, guys, yeah, that's it for us this week. If you want to, where can you find me? Well, it's going to be a busy week for me, but Tuesday we're going to have Fireside Freedom. That is 6 Mountain, 4 Eastern. We're going to be talking about dealing with death, another topic that nobody likes to talk about. That's why we picked it. Where else am I going to be? Thursday, I'm going to be on Scramblin' University with Brian Norton. We're going to just have a chat about life in general. He's one of the guys from the Unloose the Goose after party we had the other night. It was absolutely great. Also, Friday evening, I'm going to be on Liberty Late Night, which is great. I can't wait to pick their brains on how they do their streaming movie commentary, because they're a cool couple, really great, and it's going to be neat. I'll have links for everything, guys. But anyway, we've been an hour and a half, so thanks, guys. I tell you this every single week, but you could choose to hang out anywhere. You only have so many hours in a week, and you choose to hang out with me. So, guys, I appreciate it. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.